The stuff you do with the Game Awards is incredible. I just don't know how you keep doing it, basically.
There's a slight fear and tingle in the spine. It's not really about the themes. It's about what the fans think are the themes. It's about what do they connect to. I don't know if you noticed, but for the end, I changed the ending this year.
I
So that
loved it.
it
Loved
did
it.
zoom up to another level.
Now I love Pedro, Flute guy, but they need to, they cut to him a lot this time. They've got to cut to you a few more times.
The thought of 170 million people listening, yeah. You know, if I could do this interview like this, I would be. There's very few musicians that have got stage persona that are honest. He lives and breathes music and performance. Whoever's got games coming out next year needs to kind of go. We need him to record on our game, and we need to do a spot where it's him.
I've got to ask you about Assassin's Creed. That's got to be one of your great tracks as well. Fight Club, the theme, to name a few.
Fight Club is the gift that keeps giving. Call of Duty was our first ever kind of experience with a video game, and not a bad experience. You know, one of the biggest franchises in the world.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great soundtracks in gaming of all time.
Well, I agree. I agree because.
So, is this your main office? Is this where you write? Walk me through it. We're just starting now, by the way.
This is one of my studios, and it's the most unstudio environment you'll ever have. Mainly because I've been in studios now for next year will be 50 years. I'm turning 50 next year. I know, I don't know, but I am. I'm turning 50, and I was brought up in a recording studio, and all my memories as a child was in a recording studio. So I've had my life in recording studios. So when I designed this studio, I wanted it to look nothing like a studio. I didn't want any speakers anywhere. I wanted a sitting room with a keyboard just at the side, and all the speakers are in the ceiling. There's material in front, and I wanted it to make it the most most unstudio environment known to man. The funny thing is that so many of people kind of said, "It's very, very soulless in here. There's no instruments." And I said, "There's one instrument. It's got a keyboard. I've got no machines in here. That's all in a machine room. So I've created something that's non-studio like."
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Lorne Balfe, Shiver Me Timbers Balfe.
Sorry, about 20 minutes in. Hello, I'm Lorne Balfe.
Where'd you get that nickname, Shiver Me Timbers?
Desperation. It was pre chat GBT, so it's not the most original. Funny that you brought that up. We were all sitting. I basically was the last to get a name, and weirdly,
best to last.
Yeah, well, Shiver Me Timbers is quite a well-known kind of pirate expression, but nobody had claimed it, and I was the runt of the litter, and everybody was very keen in grabbing their names, and I was the last, and I was like, that was the only one I knew because my father used to do. He always used to talking about pirates. He'd always be, Shiver Me Timber. That's all he ever did. That was that and a Popeye impression. So it worked out well. I took it. I've not used it. I've not used it in 18 years. But thank you.
Now I got to start off. The stuff you do with the Game Awards is incredible. I just don't know how you keep doing it. Basically. And upping yourself every year. Talk to me about the process of
it. Yeah, it's getting to a bit of a difficult conversation now because I think I'm not too. There's a slight fear and tingle in the spine because last year then got kind of a bit mental with Guitar Man.
okay.
And then and then all of these other factors kind of start happening where I kind of think, oh, well, I thought it's just about the music, isn't it? And now it's like, if Flute guy doesn't appear, there's got to be trouble. And you're like, okay, there was no flute written, but we'll have to put it in, obviously. Um, it's been a long journey doing it. I did it a long time ago, then we stopped doing it, and then kind of came back. It's funny because it's very much like a horse race or a dog race, maybe a dog race when the greyhounds are waiting to get out, and then the doors open and they're off. And basically, I think there's a period of about 2 weeks, is it, or less than 2 weeks, when they announce who it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're kind of, for the few months before it, you're kind of having second guesses what it could be, and then, but I've given up on that now because
Just ask me, Lorne. I predicted him a month
oh,
before it happened. Just hit me
so
up.
Before it happened, what are your odds every year there?
Pretty good. I got it last year too. I got the 6 right.
Really?
Yeah, hit me up. I'll give you. I'll be
Well, that'll
at
make my
least
life
5 of
much
6.
easier.
Yeah, at least 5 of the 6. I'll get you.
Okay, well then we'll let's have a chat this summer, shall we? And we can get into it. And because all you're doing is you're trying to get your themes, but it's not really about the themes. It's about what the fans think are the themes, and
Mm.
it's about what do they connect to, because sometimes the main theme for something isn't what really people associate with. It could be a song, it could be the opening sequence of something. So there's a lot of going into forums and basically just seeing from that game what do people connect to and what people like. And no matter what, even if you do that, somebody's going to say you ballsed it up and you got the wrong thing. You should have done that. So
Yeah.
I that's really how I look at it. And also, it's difficult with these medleys because sometimes people kind of want it sounding original to the actual game, and they want it to kind of sound representative of sonically how it was. And I find that an absolute mood killer because I just find that you're setting a tone, off we go, and then you change gear, and it's not necessarily the right gear. Um, and if you want to hear it in that perspective, you can always just go to a streaming service and just listen to it. So I think what I try to do is literally have something that tells a story, and it's fun, and we kind of don't lose energy, and we keep going, and so that it's becoming, it's very you see it now, it's becoming, people are posting videos of people's reaction of watching somebody watching it. So 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 it's very much Spinal Tap
Oh,
trying to get to 11. And by the third
uh,
piece, I'm already trying to go, okay, come on, now what's the fourth one going to be? It's I do try to treat it as, what do the audience want to hear? What's going to excite the audience? And how can you just get to that 11? Weirdly, afterwards, my flight coming back, I was I, I I was thinking about the following year already, even though I don't know the pieces.
oh my God.
I know, but
Oh God.
I was thinking, oh God, how are we gonna do? How can we top this? I figured out that we need a whole new opening idea. I can't just keep doing the da 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 da. Da. But I figured out a way, because I don't know if you noticed, but for the end, I changed the ending this year
I
so that
loved it.
it
Loved
did
it.
zoom up to another level.
Went up to another
Uh,
level. Yeah, I noticed it.
so, well, the first time I'm aware that people notice it is when we do it with the musicians. You see, so the thing is that when we did it during the practice, they all started grinning because they knew I'm trying to get
That's
it up a loop.
fantastic. But
Um,
so you
and, then,
figured out the start now for next year,
I don't
picking
know if I
this.
figured it out. I had
Yeah.
an idea,
Okay.
but
Okay.
that's all. But I just think it could visually be fun, um, to kind of let the audience kind of go, ah, okay.
I think now I love Pedro, Flute guy,
Hmm.
but they need to, they cut to him a lot this time. They've got to cut to you a few more times. You know what I mean? They've got to share the load of cuts. Would you
I'm
say?
all right. Nope, I'm all right. There's a reason there's a reason I became a composer. There's a reason I have a basement studio. Composers composers try to keep away from daylight, as you can tell with my eyes. Um, Composers keep away from daylight, and we work a lot. So I'm always, that's why being a conductor is great. The audience is facing your back, so you're
Yeah, I
fine.
always thought, is that more freeing for you, not having to see them?
Um, the thought of 170 million people watching, yeah. You know, if I could do this interview like this, I would be.
Wow.
Um, so it's
Oh
very
man.
much,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm, you know, it's not going
Hey,
into kind of therapy sessions here, but I do. I'm not a big fan of kind of all that, and it's a difficult thing because that is the world we live in.
mm,
But um, but I, when starting out, I kind of I knew I didn't want to perform. I wanted to be a writer, then I was a drummer in bands because instead of a keyboard player, because being a drummer, I was able to
push
be
you in
at
the
the back,
back. Yeah.
and then you've got things kind of coming up to here, so you can kind of just drum and fine. But no, the thing is that. Um, I think Pedro, like, we could talk an hour, well, we could talk about a week about Pedro. Um, there's very few musicians that have got stage persona that are honest.
Mm.
Um, I, I I know a lot of stage musicians, and there's a lot of thought put into camera angles, and there's a lot of thought into which way I should look and which palette I should use
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my hair. There is not that with him. He lives and breathes music and performance, and there's probably a reason why they don't do a lot of me is because probably when I'm told that there is a camera and I should look there, I'm too busy looking here. During the
Oh,
rehearsal, I'm looking there, and then they're like, "Why you should be looking here on the spot?" It's the fact that when I create the arrangement and then I send him the piece, he spends time thinking about what's the right sound for the right piece, and when I'm doing it, I'm very much thinking about, well, we won't have a singer for this piece. There's a great opportunity for Pedro to have to have a solo there. Um, so you're thinking when creating the pieces, you're thinking about, does it sound good? You are thinking camera angles, because you're thinking who's going to be doing the solos, their violin solos, their guitar
yeah.
solo. So you're very much doing that. You're making notes of that so that ahead of time, even as when the first demo gets done, the camera team have it already.
Ah,
You know,
right.
they're
Yeah,
already
yeah.
setting up. They're already setting up their shots right from the beginning. Um, so, but I think somebody needs to kind of, whoever's got games coming out next year needs to kind of go. We need him on our game. We need him to record on our game, and we need to do a spot where it's him for a whole
That's
spot.
actually quite smart. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Because
Yeah.
the games would be all, they'd be wrapping up around now. and whoever some of the composers are could be going, we need Pedro involved with this, get him on the main theme, and then you've got a great spot. Just an idea. I haven't got it. If I was a clever betting man, I would be doing myself, but I haven't got any games coming out, so I can't
I
use
wish you
that as a.
did, Lorne. I really wish you did, but I know there are a ton of work. I mean, I'm guessing there's a lot more just raw material needed for a game versus a movie per se.
There is,
Yeah.
there is, there's way more music
Yeah.
and and way more time.
Hmm.
Um, Dragon Age, which was the last game we did, that was 4.5 years.
You're kidding.
Now my son was sitting on my lap, and now he's playing rugby in that time. And he's, I'd say he's close to 6 foot. Um,
Jeez.
so
Yeah.
it's a long time, and and I get asked why don't you do more? And look, it's very difficult because you've got to give everything 110%, and it's very difficult, I find. And some game composers don't agree with me with this, but I find it very difficult to focus and work like we were just talking about earlier about I've finished writing at 5 a.m. in the morning and then I get up at 9. I find it very difficult to do this regularly and then stop, and that's what happens with games. You're in it, and then you stop because there's nothing to write.
Hmm.
So then what do you do for a period of time? You're kind of like, okay, I need another project, and it's difficult to kind of multitask sometimes. And some people don't like multitasking. I like multitasking personally, but
Do ya?
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the fact that I can be working. I can have breaks from things. I like the fact that
Mm.
working on a very serious and high pace action movie, and then if I'm finding I need a kind of a break, I can go back into a kind of a drama that I'm doing. So
So you wouldn't necessarily sign on to, let's say, three action films back to back because you'd
no,
kind of, yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
If anything, I try to do like maybe one a year because
Mm.
it's God, this is not manual work here or kind of
No,
proper,
no, but no, it's,
but it's exhausting coming up with new ideas.
yeah.
That's really what it's about. And I think that, if I think about Call of Duty was our first ever kind of experience with a video game. And not a bad experience. One of the biggest franchises in the world.
I thought,
And
just to cut you off here, I think that's one of the great soundtracks in gaming of all time, personally.
well, I agree, and it's nothing to do with me. I agree because there was a group of us, Hans' studio, remote control. It came to Hans, and what was so unique about remote control was the fact that you had all these people from different nationalities with different musical approaches, and um, I'm still not very clear why Hans had said, you know what, you should kind of front this and take control. Um, but I had been with Hans for 18 years. I was with Hans for about 18 years. And whatever stage I was with him, I had worked for him on a lot of films, a lot of the Nolan films and uh,
Pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I, I think we didn't really appreciate the size of the game, the
Mm.
the size of the weight that this game brings with the importance to the audience. Because again, we're going back a while ago where
Different feeling around, wasn't there? Yeah.
very much, and And then every meeting that started happening, we started seeing the passion from the developers. I think it's very fair to say that there used to be snobbery factors in the way music was composers looked at things. I remember being in LA going to an award ceremony for 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 the music industry, and I remember I was I I wasn't winning any awards. I still don't win awards. I was sitting at the back, and somebody said, "Oh, you know," I said, "What? Who is everybody?" Because I saw that there was a kind of a hierarchy going on. And they said, "Oh, well, at the front, all the top tables there, they're the film composers. So you've got James Newton Howard and you've got Danny Elfman, the hand. Then you come back, and then behind that, you've got the TV composers, and you've got, I'm not going to say names,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
da, da, da.
yeah, yeah.
And then and then behind that, you've you got those people that do commercials and those jingles, and then round here you've got the game composers. And I thought, right,
Yeah.
it can't be that snobby,
Mm.
and it absolutely was. And I'd say it absolutely was until I think about 5 6 years ago. I think that
Really? Yeah.
I think the Game Awards and what Jeff has done has elevate the concept of gaming generally in the world, but also give more kudos to game composers. And I say that from the fact that he's legitimized gaming to something that, as we've seen when you watch the award show, more people are watching it than any other award ceremony. There's a reason why. He's legitimizing it. It's not just some small spectacle. It's legitimate. It's taking the community in, giving them something, and then allowing others to come in and go, "Wow, this is legitimate." And with the music side, sorry, I know we're jumping around.
No, I love it. Keep going.
There's a lack of sleep, but th that medley, you award shows now don't even have orchestras any longer.
Really?
They used. I'm not. Yes,
Jeez.
just start looking at. If you look at the top 4 or 5 award
Is it all
shows,
pre-recorded?
one one has got
Wow.
a band.
Shit.
It's costly. It's very expensive to do this. Um, Jeff does this every year, and we're not doing that much. You know, they pull me out of the dressing room for the beginning, and then I'm not doing anything for about an hour 40. You know, um,
You're
so
preparing, aren't you?
I'm preparing. I'm stretching. Oh, I've got Pilates set up behind me, um, and I and it shows the importance of how he regards what this medley is doing. The medley is showing respect to all of these games and the music and those that have created it. And I think this is part of the parcel now where there is every A-list composer is now doing games. I'm going to say bar one, but his music does get licensed.
Who's that?
Uh, I'd say it's John Williams.
Oh, of
So,
course. Yeah, yeah.
so the music is getting licensed, but everyone else I know is is writing for games or has written a game. Um, so that barrier has gone, and it's the same way as composers used to not do TV. It was film composers. It was very beneath you, and TV
Mm.
composers were always, oh, I'd love to get a movie. I'd love to get a movie. Everybody's doing everything now. Um, I think that's what makes things exciting, and you see the difference now. I go into Abbey Road recording studio. I can't get in sometimes because
Really?
EA are in there recording all the time. People are giving a different a far uh, bigger value to the concept of game music now, and rightly so. It's you see the concerts now. We did it at the Hollywood Bowl 2 years ago. We did
Oh, were you
we did
doing that? Oh,
that
yeah.
memorable. Thank you, Dan.
I wasn't.
Yes,
I wasn't there.
it was my back. See, my plan worked.
I didn't. I didn't know you were involved in that, but now it makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish I
Yes,
could have been there.
it was my back, and the only problem is the hair's getting the back of the head. The hair's getting grayer. You see, so you can see the evolution of my head. Um, but it was a sellout show, and
Was that the one Jack Black came out in?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, it's bringing an audience and legitimizing it, and everything's becoming an equal playground now.
And I've noticed with the award shows. Well, I think it was the Oscars announced they're coming to YouTube, and I mean
Mm.
that's got to be because of Jeff. There's no other. I mean, in the Game
Abs-
Awards, there's no other way around it, is there?
No, no, I know, no, I know it is. I hear everybody talking about how are we going to get people to watch these shows? Jeff's been doing it for years. I'm going to say it's a simple concept here, but it kind of it is. You make it accessible for people, and you make it entertaining. But obviously, it is difficult because nobody can achieve it, and he does it. But more importantly, which isn't easy, is that uh, it's a job to a lot of people.
Mm.
And a lot of people that make those award shows, it is a job. It's basically get the person on, thank you, off. Um, Jeff is lives and breathes the show. His team does. Kimmy that works with him is essential to it, and they don't. It's not just a job. They live and breathe this, and they constantly think about what does the fans want, and I think that's why Jeff, you won't. Other shows they may go to different service platforms to try to get the audience. You got to restructure the show.
I feel like they might do
And
better.
you've got to get somebody who loves film as much as Jeff
Mm.
loves entertainment, because as we've seen, there's a crossover. It's like it's about the audience, and that's what he's nailed.
With Modern Warfare 2, do you remember the no Russian mission and the kind of
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah.
remember the
Oh, sorry,
controversy?
we've drifted all the way from we've drifted all the way from there. Okay, so why it was why I agree with your comment about why it was a great soundtrack is is the fact our studio,
Yeah.
um all these amazing people were there, and Hans had basically said you you can start on it, and there were way better people than me at the studio. There always was, and I just thought, right, this is my opportunity. I'm gonna I'm gonna fight for this, and I'm gonna really uh, shine so that he gets to hear what I'm doing, but also the the development team really get blown away with this. So I worked so hard on it, but what was great about it was that everybody in the studio contributed. So it was a very unique time because you had a stable of composers in Los Angeles that we were all working 1 minute on. I can't remember what films we would have been working on around that time. Would have been Pirates would have been around then, and maybe Angels and Demons, and there
That
was a,
sounds right. Yeah. Yeah.
and the Holiday. A total contrast of
I just watched that
projects.
the other day. Great movie.
Well, it's
Christmas
Christmas
movie.
time. It's
Yeah.
Christmas time, and there was a whole so there was a lot of us there. There was Atlee and Haytor and Henry Jackman and Junkie, and there's just amazing, amazing people, and everybody was hearing about this project. And Hans would kind of walk into everybody's room and be working on film. And I think what started happening was, uh, yeah, I heard what he did on that. I'm going to do better. So it basically turned into this
Competition.
competition amongst all of us. Clay Duncan was on it. So what was happening was that we'd have meetings, and the meetings would get bigger
Mm.
because new people would be coming in, and we'd be playing stuff, and then the new person would walk in, and then they'd hear it, then they would van it, and they'd say, "Oh, you know what? I'll work on that airport scene. Yeah, I'll work on that." And then it would come in, and then we'd be sitting there watching it, and you devil, I'm gonna. So it really became a hotbed of trying to outdo ourselves. And my goodness, if there ever was a place in the world, especially at that time, that studio complex was notorious for action movies. It was
Ah.
the stable of everything. Hans had created um, all Jerry Bruckheimer's movies, all Michael Bay's movies, Transformers, Rock. All of these movies were sonically were being created there. So the sound of action music really was that, and we were on it for about two years, and I remember recently because the server blew up and we didn't have a backup, and then we had to kind of go looking for stuff. We wrote 28 hours of music.
Sorry?
20, 28 hours of music because we were so
Can I have
green.
that USB, please, Lorne?
Yeah.
Can you ship that
we,
to me?
we were
Uh,
so green. You know,
yeah,
every game, the contract is always the same thing. It's like we contract you for 60 minutes of music.
right.
And no one's ever sure why. It's just an old legal contract thing that never seems to get changed. And we were like, well, how long are people going to be playing for? And they said, well, we could be 24 hours, 28. Yeah. And I said, so what's the gameplay? And they said, well, it could be 28 hours. So we were all like, we gotta write 28 hours of music. So we were just like machines. And the concept of kind of the audio team being given stems to do this, we are like, no, 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 we can actually do it this way. And because we'd never had done a game before, I kind of started thinking about, well, can't we treat this like a movie? The fact that if you write a piece of music, you can make subdivisions out of it. So if we treat it
Mm.
as intensity, so intensity low, medium, and high. So if you're writing a piece, so if we are writing the airport, for example, um, why don't I write a piece of music that's full on, that lasts say 4 or 5 minutes, and then out of that one piece I break it down into the different intensities. So you've got a smaller one and a medium one. And I don't know if that was happening at the time with other games, but that was my way to kind of look at it, because it was in film. We were writing suites to demonstrate a theme of a character,
Mm.
and then placing it to picture, and kind of then going, this will work if it was more subtle. So that's how we kind of started looking at it. It was like, oh, we should be treating it that way. So that's why each kind of level was generating 15 minutes of music.
So
I'm not going to
you,
say that's not easy, but that was the
so
concept.
they obviously don't sit there and show you the game play. So are you getting
Oh, yeah,
images? Are you
yes, they did.
they do.
They were. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because I remember when the lift doors opened. I remember kind of we were all like,
What have we signed on to?
we signed
Yeah.
on to it. And I was like, so
Uh,
you could be the person that does that?
yeah.
Why would you choose? So
Yeah.
very much so. You meet
Wow.
every couple, you meet every few weeks, or and they're constantly showing you levels that are finished, or they're showing you levels they're about to work on. There was a game I did called Skylanders, and that was very much constantly just sending previs, sending videos where they were, showing gameplay. More importantly, printing out the images, what they would look like, and getting
Right.
inspiration from that. And I think that's the other reason why gaming has evolved, because there's stories, Beyond Two Souls. When I started doing that, I was like, gosh, there's more thought and heart going into this game, story wise and character development wise, than there are some movies I've worked on. There's real passion for this character's journey. Um, so back to the question you asked 14 minutes ago. Yeah, we were everybody in that studio was bringing an game, and it became so competitive. But it was just an amazing time. And of course, you just don't appreciate what you're working on at the time. It's the aftermath and the kind of the journey that I remember once getting a taxi, and somebody had said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I write." This was a few years later, and they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I do music for films," because that's how I would say I do music for films. And they said, all right, you know what you should do? You should do games. And before I could even say, oh, funny enough, I done. He said, I played that Call of Duty, and I tell you what, I didn't leave the house for 3 days straight. I said, really? And he said, yeah, yeah. I didn't even see my wife when that game came out. It was lockdown, and then you realize the
Uh,
importance of what you're working on, and the community that you're part of.
is it weird for you because like the music implementation is very key in a film? I know you've said before, I think it was Fallout, you credited the
Yeah,
music editor, you said they did a
yeah,
phenomenal job with the implementation. But for games, it's very, different players will take longer or shorter, and it's so varied. So, and
that's
you're not a gamer. I presume you're not really a gamer, so you don't really get to see the implementation either, do
where are you
you?
getting that assumption from, Dan?
Okay, teach me wrong. Tell me wrong.
No, no, I'm not going to teach you wrong, but
Well, you don't
assumptions.
have time. If you work until 5 a.m., I'm sure you don't have time to be playing Call of Duty.
There's a long. Here, here's my book of wannabe hobbies, and nothing gets in them. No, gaming has entered my world again through children,
Ah,
and
yeah.
so that has now appeared in my life. But no, I don't have time. Um, it's 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 an interesting thing, because I think, and it kind of relates to the snobbery thing that we were talking about. It's all about escapism.
Mm,
It's all about being able to remove ourselves from reality. A lot of people's reality isn't great, and it's very complicated. And I got into movies because I used to go to the cinema with my dad, and for that 2 hours experience watching Superman in the cinema, it was just pure escapism. I had a great, I had a blissful life. Um, I had a wonderful childhood, so I didn't need to kind of run away from anything. But I loved escapism. I loved daydreaming, and I loved that, and that's what movies brought to me. Um, and then, of course, my era would have been Sega, and then it was Game Boys, and the kind of the concept of connecting with people that way.
mm.
Um, and then it went back into films, and then weirdly now it's back in the gaming side is now there because of my children, and the fact that it's amazing. Our last FIFA game a couple of days yesterday, I lost like 17-0. I just I really I just don't understand. I just don't
But you had
and I
fun, right?
Did I? I, I, I don't like losing, Dan. I'm not. You know, I spent my whole life really trying to achieve and do and 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 create something successful, and
Yeah.
that I fail at, and then there's laughter regarding it,
Yeah.
which is not a good sign. What was the original question?
Implementation of music
So
in games, movies. Yeah.
yeah, so um, it's interesting. I was speaking to a developer recently about this, and that we're still quite archaic with the we're archaic with the way the engines are working. I
Mm,
think. I would have thought by now it would be way more bespoke to the player.
interesting.
That's the way that I would have thought that's what it could what could be happening for the gamer, and it's not. We're not. We're still. I'm exaggerating it, but we're still very much turn left, this music plays, turn right, this music plays. And anybody I speak to, nobody knows why.
I
There
yeah.
is the ability. Tell me, as a gamer, why do you think that is?
I just think that the developers haven't taken a leap and gone that direction. Simple as that. I think it can be achieved. They're just not caring enough, I guess.
But not caring enough. Yeah, I don't believe anybody doesn't care enough with these things. I think there's too much money being spent and too much uh, time being
Mm.
spent on music for them not to care. There's t there's got to be something else. There's got to be either schedule wise we can't implement it,
Well, yeah,
um,
yeah. I think
or
that's yeah.
or they feel the gamer doesn't care.
That's kind of that's what I'm guessing. But I think the gamer would care if we saw it more. If I'm making sense.
Uh,
If they were
yes,
exposed to it.
yes. I worked with somebody 10, 12 years ago that was trying to make it way more bespoke, and they canned it.
Really?
It was taking up so. It would have been so you would have never have heard the same piece of music twice. That's how clever it was, and it would have been totally bespoke to every single player, and it would have been unique, and the way it was going to be implemented would have done that. It was taking up too much bandwidth. This is, it has to be said that way. It was just taking up too much width of the game. And it
Mm.
was like, what is the player really going to get out of this? Because they're able to monitor everything. They can see, it's like with movies, when we test the movie, they have night vision on and they start seeing when people are getting fidgety, and they go, right, we've got to cut this scene. Everybody's bored, or you seeing that people are yawning, and it's a horror film. You see where the jump, the jump shots are and everything. So they know the demographic. They can see what's working and what's not. And I sometimes wonder, well, when they're testing the game, are they simply sitting there, people pressing mute on the music and playing their Spotify playlists? So I don't know, but there is something that's strange, and it's not changing, because to me, uh, it's just stems. It's just it's data, and data can be manipulated. So we all have this conversation with the nerdy composers when they get together. It's always the same thing. um, so that implementing it is a big conversation that we have all the time, and I don't think it's being done. Where it's not even being done at half of what it could be.
What are the other nerdy conversations going on? I'm curious.
But well, I
AI, I'm
think
guessing, is one of them right now.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's an exhausting conversation,
Mm.
AI.
I agree. We
Um,
don't have to talk about it, but
no, no,
yeah.
no, but I I think I, I'm in the minority with my opinion regarding it because it's not going anywhere. It's a tool that has to be used. It can benefit your life. Um, there's a big argument that musically, I already feel bad saying this out loud, but there's an argument that it can't replace you in a musical and inspirational way, and it can't create something because it's got no heart and soul. Now, I disagree because the
Do
thing
you
is
really?
that
Wow.
because when we listen to a song that we like, now I like a backstory. I really like knowing who the artist is. I love Depeche Mode. I love their catalogue of work. I, uh, our kids' generation doesn't need a backstory. They want a tune. They want a good song. That doesn't need 40 years of sitting in a bedsit, living in poverty for inspiration to get to that melody. AI will give you something that it could be a good tune or it might not. It's called taste. And our kids' generation simply just wants to hear something that's good and catchy. Um, it can do that. You just can't debate that. It's appearing in the charts, unfortunately.
Is it
So
really?
yeah, yes, and you're seeing the concept of TikTok embracing
Mm.
AI platforms. So it's not going away. My issue with it is legitimizing an income from it. If it's no different than what we were discussing 40 years ago with sampling, and hip hop producers were taking um, pre-existing songs and chopping it up and putting it in a song, and nobody was getting recognized. People need to get paid, and you get paid by registering it. And all AI has to do this is a music conversation. I'm not talking about literature
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
art and photos. Um, but there has to be a way of watermarking audio so that if we know AI is being used, it's what it's generated it from is from this vocalist or this piece of music, and the monetary income can come in. Because if you don't do that,
So would
it's
you would
basically
you would you do that if it was able to train on all your catalog of music, but you got a kickback for every time, or is that a deeper
if I got
conversation?
a kickback,
Yeah, if I
as
mean if
in
you were paid every time it was.
yes, I wouldn't have a problem with it because it's no longer stealing.
Mm.
That's what it's doing. It's stealing. Every every, every 15 years, we get pushed with music technology, and when the synthesizer started, everybody hated the synthesizer. The unions hated it because it was going to stop the jobs of live musicians. It didn't do it. It was another instrument. Sampling was the same. Um, we all, when the Fairlight came out in the synclavia, everybody was petrified that the orchestra was going to stop. It didn't. It continued. Yes, the numbers reduced, but that's technology. That's just how things are going to happen. And we just have to make it legitimate and ethically correct for us to gain a monetary transaction from when it happens. That to me is how it needs to happen because it is going to happen. It's not going to be switched off all of a sudden. And that to me, it's a tool. It's like using a thesaurus. A songwriter would sit with a thesaurus trying to kind of come up with ideas. Now, there have been one hit wonders for the last 60 years in the top 40. Somebody can always get a top. I'm not going to say everybody can get a hit, but with technology, you can take this, and put it together. Getting your second number one is the hardest job, and that will always be the thing. And AI will just splurt out ideas. That's just what it does. You still have to be a curator of taste. It's no different. Um, and what you think is a good melody is different to what I think is a good melody.
I like a lot of
So,
your stuff, so I think.
well, well, and you've got great taste, but there's a
Uh,
big percentage that will disagree
yeah,
with
yeah, I
us,
know. Yeah, yeah.
and and that's what's great. And I think about Taylor Swift's new album. If AI had created that, it would have sounded like a Taylor Swift album. This does not sound like a Taylor Swift album. And I think that's why we will, as humans, always win and succeed
Mm.
because we're not doing the predictable. So AI is no different than sampling, and it's no different than a preset on a synthesizer. It's there for immediate use.
Can we turn to Beyond Two Souls? That to me feels like one of your more emotional um, pieces in your body of work. Would you agree with me or not?
Um, yes, yes. I find discussing a body of work difficult because you kind of weirdly there's other things I would regard as more emotional because of that period of time with kind of
Right.
connections with
Yeah,
things. And
yeah, yeah. Kids
um
and family and stuff.
yeah, a
Yeah.
very bombastic school like like Bad Boys. um Bad Boys 3, is a deeply emotional one because weirdly my father was in a hospice, so it's a kind you wouldn't guess from what was produced. So you kind of I look at that, I go, gosh, yeah. And there's not one piece of music that kind of there maybe is, but I think that what Beyond did was, and it's a good reason why as composers we're going into different platforms now. You're constantly trying to find a project that pushes you. You're constantly trying to find a project that lets you do something that you're not used to doing or you're comfortable to do. And and Two Souls was that to a T. I think it was like, okay, it's a game. uh and you kind of go, what's the game about? Ah, you're already intrigued. This is there's a heart and a soul to it, and you automatically go, okay, I could be writing. I could do something that's definitely out of my comfort zone. And also you're looking at, when you get asked to do these things, you're also looking at what have they done before, and you see the body of work that that team had made, and it's astonishing. There's a heart to it, there's a soul to it. So you want to work with people like that, and they push you. And I think with Aiden's theme, I remember with David writing that theme maybe quite a few times. There was probably about uh, maybe 15 different themes for Aiden. Um, and look, when you're working with somebody who has created the character, we're late to the party as the composer. I can't, they've been creating this for maybe 10 years. And then I come in year three. And then I'm meant to present to them, here you go, here's your baby's feet. It's a bit, you're a bit arrogant if you think you're going to nail that. And what started happening was that by writing these themes, I wasn't nailing it. Um, and it was conversations about, well, what works out of this, what doesn't work about it, why does this reflect to Aiden and not someone else? And it was like, oh, okay. And it just took a while to kind of get into a mindset and connect with
David Cage, yeah.
David Cage's journey. And also he's also he's a composer also. So
Ooh,
that um, you
that's a
know
bit tricky,
that
yeah.
it, it it is tricky sometimes because you're dealing with somebody then that it no is in that world, and so that then becomes taste. You're working in a world of taste, rather than I'm not. if I go to a restaurant, I want a great dish. I'm not going to tell them how to do it.
Do you find that frustrating going back and forth like that many times, or can it be enjoyable process?
I I, I shouldn't say it because now
Now
every
you're going to
every
open yourself.
every boss I get from now on is like, now, Lord, I want version 50 now. No, I. It's a justified journey that you have to do. I know a lot of composers that won't do it, and some refuse to do it, and their argument is no, this is it, this is the theme, and I stand by it. I just don't look, I've never looked at it that way. I've always looked at it as that if somebody, I can't I can't convince you that it's a good piece. If you disagree and you don't emotionally connect to it, I can't emotionally trick you. You
Interesting.
know, you don't find it memorable and you don't connect, it's not right. So I have to correct this, or I can walk away. I, I've only walked away once in my life from a project, so I I wouldn't I wouldn't do it that. But you if what I think is the theme, when writing a theme, it's there so that the audience closes their eyes, and when they hear that theme, they see that character, and when they hear that theme, they remember the backstory of the character. That is what it's.
That's what happens with Jodie's theme in Beyond Two Souls. Every time I
Yeah,
hear it, I think
and
it's yeah.
I think, and weirdly, Jodie's theme was something that um relatively was a quicker one to write. I think it was about we spent more time emotionally talking about her. And I think the tricky thing is that villains are very difficult because I think that you can't just simply write a villain as doom and gloom. That's not their purpose. They their mission for their greed and destruction, I think, isn't 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 based on purely a sinister motive. They think what they're doing is correct. What they think is justified to them. They think they're doing the right thing to them. So, and I think with villains, um, the audience wants the kind of obviously can't relate to them, but we need to somehow connect to them, and that's why writing darker themes and villain themes I think are way harder than writing somebody who's on a kind of there's a more happier emotional trait to them.
The Top Gun Maverick soundtrack to me was so damn good. It elevated the film to a new level. Um, every track in that album I've listened to many times. Just talk to me about your experience on that one.
COVID, we were knee deep in COVID, and it stopped everybody being able to work together. It stopped everybody working the way that we were comfortable in. So many negatives to do with it, but yet so many positives. Um, it it brought us time, which there wouldn't
Mm.
normally have been, and it was a luxury of time to chip away and finesse. And any of look, I love franchises to work on, mainly because um, if I'm working on it, it's because I'm a fan of it. So I bought a ticket and I sat in that audience and and I was brought up on it. So if it's Terminator, if it's
Mission,
Bad
yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
Mission,
yeah,
I, I've been writing. I had the job in my head 30
yeah,
years ago.
yeah,
I'd just be wandering around waiting to get a call. Um,
yeah.
but so I'm very fortunate in being able to kind of have that that journey with it. Top Gun is one of those
Oh, yeah.
projects, and Harold Falterman's school's um, second school. I've been lucky to work with Harold, Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so Gain was, which was the first ever thing I ever learned to play on the piano. Um,
Wow, that's full
which I
circle.
never said to Harold because I might age him, but we all used to play it in the piano, um, and that was the first day I properly learned how to play. Um, we had COVID, everybody got separated, and it was just a lot of this happening. We
Yeah.
use a program called Evercast, which is a filmmaker's version of Zoom, and that's how we did it.
Right.
Editorial worked that way, VFX worked that way, and music worked that way. And I think everybody was in the room maybe once. I only remember one time that we were all working in it, but it brought time and it brought that ability and luxury to be able to write something and go, we can make that better. No matter what, you have deadlines. Deadlines are great, but you're always then having to deliver something. And you go, I could have done this, I could have done that. They're not always great because you have to finish. But with Top Gun, it was that, and it was very much this ability of just stepping back and taking time to work on something um, that um, it was escapism. That I remember that we were only allowed out 1 hour a day in London. You're allowed to go outside for 1 hour, and if you walked out, if you went outside and saw somebody, you'd cross the road. That's how paranoid. So working on this film to do with the air and with true escapism and speed and travel. It,
Yeah.
it it was and it was a beautiful time. But what was great was the journey afterwards, and you saw how what that film meant to so many people because there's not many. I can't really think of many films where it's cross generational. You know,
But
my
also
my
brought people back, I felt, to the cinema when it came
it's
out.
not going to do a cliche. It saves cinema.
Yeah, it
It,
really did.
what Tom did with that movie and making sure that it came to the cinema was essential for our industry because
Hmm.
we're still discussing that concept of events and a film there for a purpose to get people to kind of come in. So it's very much and it's not to sound like a blurb here, but it did save us, and it made us remember why we want to be in the cinema. It reminded us about being together. It reminded us about wanting to kind of experience things in an audience, because during that period of time, I do remember that we were kind of watching films by ourselves and thinking, this is great. There was no camaraderie there. There was nothing. You laughed. There's nobody there with you. So it was a very special time, and I don't know if we'll ever kind of, as a kind of a creative force, we'll have that again where you're in the trenches, you're all together.
What's it like though, scoring to those moving images of those jets? It's never been done like that ever before. I mean, you're seeing
Uh,
these images. I mean, is it exhilarating? Is it? Tell me.
yeah, no, you 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 don't fight it, and I think that's the thing with scoring. You've got to learn about not fighting things. It's it it's impressive enough.
Yes.
So so
Yes.
and that's hard. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I always look at this as same as cooking. Everybody's got the same ingredients, and the difference is knowing when to stop. And if you go to a great chef,
Mm.
they, uh, the doom scrolling at night. I'm looking about how to make the greatest steak, and I'm watching something. and it's like a 24-hour prep, and there's this rub going into it, and
Yeah.
then there's a speed going on, and then there's another five spice rub going on to this tomahawk, and I'm like, my God, my pen's run out going through this, and then
I
I
think I've watched the
see
same video.
it's the ones where they base it in butter,
Yeah, yeah.
and then then you go. Then on the other hand, you have somebody like Thomas Keller who will just basically, it's like salt. You know, did I miss the first 40 minutes?
Yeah.
It's very much like that, and
Hmm.
writing music is really no different. And you've got to we've all got the same amount of notes, we've got the same instruments now. Technology has comes back to this kind of AI thing. Before, when being a composer, you very much relied on talent in the beginning. And then when technology happened, you relied on technology because you had to create demos, and you had things that they had to sound good. So having a studio was very expensive. I used to have, like 12 or 15 PCs, each costing a lot of money,
Mm.
um, to be able to create everything. Now I'm on one computer. Most of my friends are writing on laptops now. That's replaced everything. A Fairlight used to cost the price of a house. It's a different thing. So we're able to access all the same things now. So now it's gone back to talent again. You've got to have talent, because the cost of your equipment is down so low. So it's about taste. It's about figuring out, you don't need all of the toys. You can just have a few select things, but how do we use it?
There's one toy I really love. It's the Yamaha, the one that was used for Blade Runner. You'll know it better than
Yes,
me.
the CS80.
Yeah, man, that toy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I had one. I'm not a musician, but
Well,
I'd
it's
have fun with
inexpensive.
that. Yeah,
I wouldn't use. I
I
would. It's far from a toy at the moment. There's one for sale at the moment for 100,000.
know. Jesus, far out.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that's
So
US. That's UK. That's not Australian
yeah.
either. Yeah.
No, 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 no. They are. There's a there's a whole kind of movement in the last 4 years of retro synths, and the Fairlight was a great example of this, because the Fairlight was, I think, was the equivalent of the number. Everybody says different numbers, but we're going back 40 years ago, and it was the price of a house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think nowadays it would be about 300,000 or something. It was crazy. 15 years ago, you couldn't give them away. They were just scrap. Uh,
Unbelievable,
and
isn't it?
and now they're coming back, where I see, people are buying them for about 30, 40,000 again. So the tide's turning, but it's the same with the CS80. It's people, everybody wants it, and also all the the geeks, everybody's very proud when they do get one, and on WhatsApp, all of a sudden somebody's studio and it appears, and you're not jealous. I'll put you
Are
onto
you,
sleep mode for 30 days.
are you looking for one? Are you in the
Uh,
market?
no, happily married. happily married. Happily
Yeah.
married to my virtual sense. There's something beautiful about it, and authentic, and I love it, and I do go and play with it sometimes. It's a very difficult world to live in, that analog world, because you're creating something that's unique at that time. And the way with kind of media composing is that you're constantly changing. The picture changes, the music's constantly changing, and it's very difficult to recreate that all the time. Time is great with those toys. We had a great experience on when we did Beverly Hills Cop, because I found a museum in LA that it's a synth museum, and they've
Wow.
basically gone and curated all synths from the 19, I think, like 50s all the way up to now. Um, and then when we did an orchestra session, and we went and rented uh, 15 of the synths, and they all came to the session with the orchestra. And everybody was like, wait, is this necessary? And I said, yes, it's necessary. It's got to be fun. And it was anarchy for about 3 hours. And,
Oh yeah.
it was each synth that everybody was trying to get sound out of them. And then there was like Lin drum machines and they were going out of sync with the MIDI clock. And it was just like a noise. And then all of a sudden it clocked and everything got on right sympty and it was beautiful. But there's a
Mm.
beautiful purity to all of that that you can't get within the box. But it's a difficult one to work. I did it with I did a film a few years ago called Tetris, and on that my
Great
original art
movie. Yeah.
concept my original concept was to do it all on the Fairlight, and I was brought up using the Fairlight and how to program it. So when I was 16, I was I was extraordinarily good at programming the synth and the sampler, and this sampler was um, I think probably next to the guitar the most influential instrument ever.
Yeah.
It was Frankie Goes to Hollywood. It was the sound of the 80s. It was sampling to such a high quality that it was revolutionary. And I learned how to program it, and I loved it. And then skip forward 25 years ago, I had this idea when working on Tetris, and I said to Matthew Vaughan, I said, I'm going to do it on the Fairlight. So bought a Fairlight, loaded it up, and after about 7 minutes, I was like, stuff this. This is okay. It was literally going to take me about 3 weeks to write one cue. So what I did was I did it virtually, but then I reached out to the Fairlight community and again to forums. I started
Yeah.
finding, and whatever I wrote using Fairlight samples that were virtual, I then sent the MIDI to this Fairlight community, and they started re-recording it on the Fairlights and then giving it to me.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
so not many people, I think, could tell the difference, but I did, and it was great. You got all these people that kind of love this instrument, getting working.
It's a great soundtrack. Good movie too. Taylor, what's his name? Taron Egerton is
Yeah,
he's a really
yeah,
good actor. He is
yeah,
a
amazing.
really he's good in
Yeah,
everything. You've done a few of his films, haven't you?
yeah. Carry on.
Carry on, yeah.
Our Christmas movie. It's forever will be the Christmas movie. It's like Netflix. Bang, there we go.
It went big, didn't it?
Yeah, not counting, but I think number third, third watched film on Netflix. Not
Is it
counting.
really? Is it
Yeah,
that
it,
high?
it may have, it may because of K-pop Demon Hunters, it may have gone number 4 now, but it was 3.
I got to ask you about Assassin's Creed. That's got to be one of your great tracks as well. Fight Club, the theme, to name a few.
Fight Club is the gift that keeps giving. It's extraordinary that I lose count how many times I get sent videos of people ice skating to it in the Winter Olympics. Um,
Pops up
the,
everywhere. Yeah.
the marching band in Japan.
Well, it's
And
versatile. Oh, it's a versatile piece.
I didn't think it was. I ba- the brief was it was actually originally going to be a tavern piece they wanted for one of the
Ah.
set scenes, and I just thought, oh great, I just can write some Scottish Chukta music. That's how I wrote it. I was like, oh, this is quite fun. Then I knew who was going to play it. I thought I'm going to be a devil, so I started speeding it up because I wanted to see if they could actually play it on the fiddle, on the accordion. So I just kind of started ramping it up the speed. But and then it became part of gameplay from going from a set from an actual cinematic to gameplay, and then the development then kind of trying to see what else I could do with the theme of that. But look, I again a great franchise, and also with you know Jesper Kid's theme is just iconic. I think he, I know he gets a lot of kudos. I don't think he gets enough
Mm.
as what he did with that first game. It's just iconic. And also, it's just amazing writing, getting something where in the first 5 seconds you know what it is, you know the world that it's in.
That kind of reminds me of Terminator 2, um,
Very much so.
where you got to kind of play with that theme as well, which
Yes.
is iconic. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yes, you're dealing with something that's a simple rhythmical motif. It's amazing. You're eliminating a cliche concept of a theme to to a rhythm. It's brilliant.
There's a little movie called Black Adam that had a great theme too. I remember, and it was a great piece of music. I mean,
I think it was a great
again,
film.
well,
Yeah.
again, it's as you were saying before, it's hard to do a villain, but he was kind of a hero and a villain. You know, it was kind of a bit of a mix. So, how did you kind of work on that theme?
Um, I'm not going to say it was simple, but it kind of was. It was what would he be humming in his head? I just thought, I, I just thought when watching it is that it's a very difficult thing, that kind of villain hero world, and I just thought, uh, um, I just thought, what is their kind of internal, what's their internal theme? And I still think one of the best things that have ever happened to me was, was somebody sent me a video of, you see The Rock training in his gym all the time,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they sent a video of him training with the music, and I don't think they had released the film hadn't come out yet, but he was training to the
it's
theme,
pretty
and
cool.
that
Yeah.
it, it was just fantastic. And he just has a break, and then he goes, "Listen, you hear that? You hear that?" And I, I it's a little video clip that I still send around. And it's just great. It's great. It's just
I
so
would
it's
too.
so
I would too.
but it is that, and I think it's a real shame the story didn't get to continue. I hope it does, but it's just movies like that are what I like to watch. I just love fun and escapism, and um, that's what it's meant to be about.
One of my favorite films of all time, The Dark Knight. Can you talk to me about your experience with Nolan, Hans, and working on that one from your memory? I know it was a while back, but whatever you can recall.
Well, we had a lot of films together. We did Joker, Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Dunkirk. Um, it's what it's again. It's only afterwards you appreciate how fortunate you've been to work on these things, and I never really I personally don't have the time to sit in when in the middle of a project to go, wow, this is amazing. This is because there's lots of fires happening, and you're trying to constantly deal with trying to put them out, and um, but you know, my goodness, as a filmmaker, you've got you've the creme a la creme of filmmaking. You've got Chris Nolan, Lee Smith editing, um, and Hans, and then also in Batman Begins, James Newton Howard. So it's very much very it's great education. That whole period of time and all those movies, it was my training. That's how I look at it. You know,
Really?
I
Yeah, okay.
because I
Not a
wasn't in the
bad
big
training piece.
no, but I wasn't in the big seat. Hans was in
Yeah,
the big seat,
yeah.
and I got to kind of sit, well, obviously not there because this had not been built then, but I would sit on a sofa behind and learn everything from running meetings and how to take feedback. Really, he taught me about this concept about theme writing, about if the person doesn't like it and you play it to them, the natural reaction is self-pity. with people because you go, oh, you don't like it? And he was always the first to say, okay, tell me why. And he'd delve into it and he'd start digging to find out what's not working about it, because then you can fix it. And that's what was
So
that
not being
education.
precious.
I think you can. I think you can be precious, but remove the emotional connection to it, so it's not personal.
Okay, right. I
If you're
see what
gonna
you mean.
say that, you know, I've got directors that I work with that are friends that will say that shit, and and it's the way that they say the word shit. I understand. There's a different tone sometimes, and it's like, yeah, and that I can't be I can't take that personally. If you're going to comment on my child, I'll take that fucking personally. But I think with that piece of music, it's not working for you. So I'm going to I have to delve into what you're wanting, and that was that whole training thing. We had amazing directors, Ron Howard and uh, and Michael Bay and Jerry and a lot of people that I ended up then being fortunate to then work with and starting my own journey with.
So you saw Hans work with Nolan like firsthand?
Mm,
Yeah.
years,
Wow.
years. One of the first jobs was on Batman Begins. I would do a night shift, so when Hans would finish at at I don't know 11, I'd sit in the evenings with him until midnight, and then I would do a night shift. So when he went to sleep, I'd work during the night, and and then he'd come in the morning, and then I'd probably stay up for another 5 6 hours and kind of watch, and I was it was just the most unbelievable training anybody could have. I just got to sit next to somebody who is a genius and and watch the process, not hear the end result, but watch the process. It's like when you watch the Beatles documentary on Disney when they're writing, and you're seeing what's that's more fascinating than hearing the final result. It's how do you get to that song, and how do you get to the chorus, and that is what I was able to get.
Was there any advice that he passed to or criticism that he gave to Hans that stuck with you?
Um, I wouldn't have ever thought it wasn't criticism. It was freedom. I think that was the interesting thing seeing with them was that concept of that the director comes to you. They don't want you to fail. They want you to push
No.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think we forget that sometimes. I think generally it's like the concept of audiences. That's why I keep away from audiences. Um, it's understanding that they are not there wanting you to fail. They're not wanting you to fall and make a mistake. They're wanting the best time of their life, and I think you've that is the concept of working as a team and a director composer relationship, is that they they want you to succeed and do something that you've not done before, and that's why if you're fortunate in life, you choose people that you want to work with. It's like with you're fortunate you get to choose to talk. Apart from me, you get to talk to people that you want to talk to. We're very fortunate if we can do that in life, is meet people and work with them and discuss with them that we admire, that we respect, and that we get inspiration from. And that's kind of what I try to do now, is that I kind of I want to try to seek these people out, because their relationship, Hans and Chris's, was very much that it was pushing each other,
I feel like
and it worked.
they might
It's
have pushed
stellar.
each other too far with Dunkirk, where now um, they've kind of need a break or something, because I know I heard that was a tough one
I think however, it's nothing to do with me really, and I think some people do need a break, and sometimes breaks work, and they get back together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I remember with Hans, just one more with him. I remember him saying he came on. I think he came on to Blade Runner and helped Benjamin with kind of he was stuck on something. I know you do that. You've done that across your career as well. Come in onto projects and help here and there. Is that no?
yes,
You wouldn't say you
I
have. You tell me. You tell me. I mean, because I
I,
just want to know.
I tell you, I do. I do, and
But you don't feel
I
like you're helping. Is that what you're saying?
I feel I'm fixing a problem, and I
Right.
do it a lot. Music is generally left to the last minute. Not too sure why. Sometimes you get great relationships. Like Chris and Hans, there would be right from the beginning of script, and there's time for development, and I get that a lot. I'm fortunate. I get that a lot of the time with who I work with to start from the beginning, and we can, you can become your own sonic world. But sometimes they've got other problems to be dealing with and other actors they need to be dealing with. Casting and scripts and things. So it's very much. I'm so sorry for the alarms going all the time,
No,
but
I can't hear them. It's all good. I actually can't
oh,
hear them.
great.
Yeah,
All right, no,
as long as
it's
you're
Chris.
all right.
No, no. See, right there, there's an intercom, and it's Christmas, so all it is deliveries every Tuesday of
I hope they're
Christmas.
presents for you.
No, of course not. No, no. And yeah, so you get these great
Mm,
relationships, um,
yeah.
and but the relationships go wrong sometimes, and I get brought in quite a lot to try to help fix either the relationship or fix the music or replace the music. I don't like replacing the music. Um, because I know as a composer, you've spent a lot of time and heart into this, but it's not worked. And it normally doesn't work because you don't have, because you thought, because something has stopped. There's a stoppage with communication. Something stopped, and so many of my films. I think a lot of the time people say he does so many films and stuff, and there's a lot of films that I do where I come in last minute and I fix it in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And that's why I do a lot of movies because um, it will come in a very short space of time, and I can do it in that period of time.
Can you talk to me like what is that fixing? Where do you start? I mean, do you talk to the composer because the composer, do they want you there? I know this is a weird question, but do
Some
they?
don't.
Yeah,
Some,
some
so,
don't, do they?
no, some don't, and um, and I'm the first to try to make sure that they understand that I'm on their side.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the time, I don't get credit. A lot of the time, my name won't be even on the film. But I agree with that, and there is politics involved with it, and and sometimes I know I look at it and I kind of go, look, I think there's simple fixes here. It's about basically starting afresh with your relationship and start talking and you're making the director feel neglected. You're making them feel that you're not committed to this, and there's nothing wrong with the music. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with the music, it's just the presentation of it. So there's many reasons. Sometimes the music is it's not the movie. It's just not the movie. um
Mm.
so 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 there's different scenarios, but when I have been brought in just to help, I do try the kind of I try make sure that the composer I'm on your side. I'm here to help. I'm not I'm I'm not here to get a notch in the bedpost. It's not about that. You're trying to do something. I will talk about film because I mainly do film. I love film. I watch films. I can't think of a day when I don't watch a film. I'm a workaholic who has a screen above him that has films on when he's working. If I'm doing emails, I start and then I lose about 15 minutes, and then I'm back to it again.
Yeah,
I live and breathe movies.
that's I feel like you said once that you when you're writing music, you like people talking to you and you like
I
things on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an only child. I was brought up with noise. I'd go around the house and put all the TVs on and then walk out the room. And it used to frustrate my parents. Um, and radios, anything. I need. I don't like solitude. Oh God.
I'm the same, but I'm so full on that I have to have like a podcast or something on going to bed. I don't know if you're like that, but
Yeah, no, I have. Yes, the T.
you're the
I
same.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Movie goes on phone, side table. I don't even need to see it. And then I just want, I just, you know, I like, I need, I need to know that there's something going on around me. So, so for me, I want to be involved in this world. I love this world. I love making movies, and I love writing music. To me, is a mathematical it's a test. I know where I need to get, and I need to get to here, and I know where I'm starting. And I love the process. It's a puzzle of trying to kind of get a really good melody. Well, I think it's a good melody because what's catchy to one person is different to another's. You can go and watch. Go and listen to an album, and somebody says, "Oh, I've got a great amount of tunes." I'm like, "There's a tune there? I'm not grabbing it." So, you're figuring out this process. And that's why I like coming in and helping, and the studios will bring me in to help fix things. And I really enjoy it. I also like being able to help people further their careers. I get brought in on a movie sometimes, and the composers, I don't want them to fail. I want the
Yeah.
next generation to come up and succeed. And that's why I won't take any form of credit. Um,
To help to give them their limelight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's what happened to me. Somebody, I've been helped throughout my career by people that were very good to me. Whether it was my father helping me. He was a songwriter, and he really he helped me, and uh, everybody I've worked with, going from Guy Mitchell helped me. Rupert Gregson Williams helped me. Hans helped me. Henning Lohner helped me. Everybody has helped me, and we have to help each other because it's a difficult industry. It's a difficult job.
How proud are you of your work so far?
I don't know if proud is a word. I can't believe what I'm doing. I'm very fortunate. I think. Yeah, don't know. I never thought of it that way. I'm so lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I you know, I, if I think about when I was 10 or 12 up in Inverness in the Highlands of Scotland, and watching, I had a trinity as a teenager, and it was Jerry Bruckheimer, Hans Zimmer, and Michael Bay. And I always said I was going to go to America. Um, I wasn't quite sure how. um, I wasn't. I, it's a difficult one. This because the way you talk about things and being proud of things, you're thinking about when people are going to watch this and they're going to learn from it. And I'm very conscious of this because I academically was failing, musically failing. I really was not at all successful at school or college years. But I really had this vision that I knew what I wanted to do. I think I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to write this thing where I heard music and movies, and it wasn't a job because I knew nobody that did it, but I knew of them, and I actually started when I was 16. I did a project on my drama teacher said you can contact anybody you want to get career advice from. So I thought, okay, there's this film that I really like called The Lion King, and I love the music in it. So I'm going to write to him. There was a film called Wall Street, and I loved the music in that. I'm going to write to him. Then I'm going to write to. I'd been a touring theatre production of Phantom of the Opera had come to Scotland. I saw that. I
Mm.
thought, I'm going to write to him. It's such a long story, Dan. I'll make it really brief. Anyway, long story is I basically wrote to them all for my school project. Um, Stanley Myers was another composer who did The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I wrote to him. Stanley Myers taught Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer was his assistant.
Ah,
I wrote to all these
wow.
people, and they all wrote back to me. And basically, I thought, oh, you see, it is this easy. People, yeah. um, the
So you're
funniest thing is
saying
about
if I'm a boating musician, I can reach out to you, Lorne?
you do, they do, and the one thing is, we've got. I've actually got a thing now where we do every couple of months we do a Zoom, and
Oh,
I've got
cool.
there's about 200 or 300 people that join,
Awesome.
and the reason I do it is because everybody's asking the same questions, and I and I
What's the questions they ask the most? How to get
um
into it, sort of thing. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The second question is listen to this piece of music and tell me what you think. And I
Oh,
won't
yeah, yeah.
I won't do that because I am not a judge. I can't tell you if it's good or bad, but more importantly, what I say to you will dictate how you look at things
Mm,
because
true.
because I I had so many years of being told what I was writing was just absolute shit. That could really harm you, and the fact that I've got a I'm kind of blessed with the fact I really don't care what they thought,
It's
um,
good.
and and I don't, and it wasn't out of arrogance. It was just that it was just like fine, you know.
Mm,
That's why some people get number one songs and some people don't. We've all got personal opinions, but it could have changed somebody's career path, and it could have made me go, ugh, I don't want to be in this game. I don't, and I see it a lot with people, and look, we live in a world of online. You know, everybody's a judge now. I remember one friend sending me something from Twitter or something, and they just said, they said Lorne Balfe is the Chuck Norris of film music, and I kind of, you know, the funny thing, I read that is like, that's a good thing, right? What's wrong with that? I used to like Chuck Norris movies, so I think it just depicts on. But I think you've got to kind of very much. I don't like giving critique to people because I could be wrong. I'd rather just help try to make sure that everybody understands that we're all in the same umbrella here. There is no clear path. And if somebody says, I'll tell you how to become a top game composer or a film composer, they're lying. They just simply are. Because if we all knew, we would all be doing it. And it's a contradiction that nobody's got the right answer, but I know I've got the right answer there. There is no answer. And that's why we kind of do that. And I think that's why when I reached out to these people and they replied to me, I kind of just thought, that's how I've got to treat things, and I've got to try to help people. Um,
Yeah.
and doing our little community is the same thing. We we had the Zooms, and more important, everybody's in the same camp. They're struggling to figure out how to get through the door. Now, and the one thing everybody's so they're wanting to find the door, but you've got to be able to get through it. That's the difficult thing. And I keep trying to explain to them all, it's about preparation. And really it's the Olympics. It's you've got to qualify first before you get to the big hurdle. And it's about preparing ourselves. It's about that fact of absorb. It's astonishing the amount of people that want to become film composers. When I talk about films like Gene Hackman and The Conversation, they go, "What?" And you go, "This is a classic film that you should know about." And you shouldn't just be on trend on discussing what's there at the moment. You should know where filmmakers have come from. And it's very much, with Chris Nolan didn't study film at uni. Didn't need to. His life was studying film. What he did an undergraduate in, I think, was English, maybe, or history.
Yeah, that sounds
And it was
right.
about learning to tell a story. And it's fascinating. If I look at composers and mutual friends of mine that are all that are achieving their goals, not successful, but achieving their goals, none of them went to music college. That I know. That I know. I don't know what that says about things, but it's an interesting thing. You look at people. They've found their own journeys to get this sound. You look at Danny Elfman, you look at Hans, you look at John Williams. Very unique journeys.
Do you ever think the the music can say too much?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And ironically, you see, there goes the concept of critique and comment, because when you don't do too much, it's called underscoring for a reason. You're
Mm.
scoring a scene, and it used to be called underscore. Then it became film soundtracks and film music. You're there to support. Sometimes you write a scene, bare minimum is required. Why is that? Because you're immersed in the scene. The acting is working perfectly. The dialogue is hitting a nerve. So you don't need to work hard. You can maybe have some minimal support there. You remove that music and you get told, well, it's so basic. It's like, yeah, because that's what it needed to be, surely. You can't win. So sometimes when you're watching something, there's a sense of grandeur that doesn't need to be there. You can watch a kind of an action film that doesn't have the budget, and it's like on all cylinders firing, because they're going, how do we make it bigger and bigger and bigger? Maybe you don't need to. I always remember learning a lot from Chris McQuarrie on Fallout, where
Great
the
movie.
bath
Best in the series, by the way. In my opinion,
Dan, you've got great opinions there. They
Uh,
the bathroom scene.
oh, yeah, the lock and load, the arms. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I had been looking at that for about 3, 4 months, just in the background. It's one version, one version I had done, which was, I don't know. I think basically it was becoming like West Side Story. Kick, punch, and the music was. And anyway, I I just didn't know what to be doing,
Yeah.
and I really was like, this is awful. And then I brought it up with Chris. I said, well, Chris, what are you thinking here? I've got some I've got some ideas. And he said, oh, no. There's no music going to be there. And I went, oh yes, of course, yes, great idea. Exactly what I thought. Doesn't need a single thing. It's about
Oh,
taste. It's about taste. And I think this goes back to the student thing about interacting with people and talking about things. It's about taste. You cannot learn taste. I'm really sorry. you've either got it or you haven't. And
So you're telling me I've got it, Lorne?
you've Dan, you, you knew you had it before we spoke. And it's about, and that scene is one of those great things where it becomes a hat on a hat,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it's about taste, it's about confidence, it's about knowing, and sorry, it's back to the cooking thing again. You've got great produce, and it,
Is this what you were in an alternate life, a chef?
um no. No, no,
No.
but it really is. It's understanding, and the project I'm working on at the moment is very much the same. I'm looking at what I'm writing and I'm going, gosh, I don't need the kitchen sink. Two or three sounds are really effective. Um, they might not be the most enjoyable soundtrack to listen to. It's not going to be number one on iTunes, but it's got to work with what we're watching. I think
Yeah. Before I let you go, what soundtrack to you makes you the most emotional?
there's a great French film called The Choir.
Choir. Let me look it up. I may have seen it. Choir.
And sorry, I'll come off sounding pretentious. Oh, look at that. But it's it's actually beautiful. It's. I'm sure you feel the same. What the difficult thing about things being emotional is there's many factors. I weirdly will go and say something like The Goonies is emotional to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I will watch that film every year, and that
Yeah.
soundtrack hits an emotional nerve because I too was cycling around, unfortunately by myself up in Scotland, going off, cycling for hours on end, trying to kind of go and find places like there was a graveyard near us. I used to cycle there and try to make a journey, but I listened to that soundtrack and that's deeply emotional to me because I have
Yeah.
a connection to it. Um, I think that's the joy about music that, and I find it very much when looking at um, geographically, music means different things to different people. It's we're not all the same as much as we like to think we are. We're just not, and that's why it's amazing when an artist does well globally because gosh, that's an achievement.
Mm.
Uh, you look at classical music and the way it's just received differently throughout the world. Um, but there is music. There is I I weirdly have to say now music the Mission Impossible theme is deeply emotional to me. Mainly, yes, I was connected to it, but I I, I was so fortunate to spend time with Lalo, and he played it on the piano for me,
Oh, that's goosebumps.
and that so now that piece of music I associate with a memory
Mm.
rather than the performance. So that's deeply emotional. Um, but I suppose I analyze music too much to be able to kind of listen to something and go, I'm going to start crying when listening to this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm
I'm the same.
I'm it's a busman's holiday. You're kind of I went through a period of time. I used to find it very difficult watching films because I'd sit there sometimes and go, oh, that's awful. Why has he done that?
That's
Why
me
have they done
now.
this?
Yeah. I'm
You
trying
give
to
me
get
like
out of that right now. Yeah.
you, because you know how you get out of it
Mm.
by they didn't there isn't sometimes there's no reason why that happened. We can't critique
Yes.
the
Yes.
reason why that occurred. And that's why I sometimes find it very odd when people kind of study film schools with the score and they say, oh, you see, it hits this and it hits that. being part of this process now, there's a good chance that it was done by accident. Sorry,
Yeah.
but there is. And this
Mm.
piece of music was not intended to be here. It was actually written for somewhere else. And I see it all the time. And there's great pieces of music that were either licensed or they were written for a different scene or they were different yeah, crikey.
And no one would know. Yeah.
No one will know. Go
No.
watch Alien.
Oh, I've seen it many times. Yeah. What?
And then start watching the making of with Goldsmith,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
and you see this
Oh, yeah.
occurring, and it was like he could not, he had not written. He wrote a score that suited, especially when the pods open. There goes a great example of the audience don't know what the is happening in the background. They just want to know, does it work now?
I would love to see you do Aliens. I tell you what, or James Bond. Speaking of franchises, yeah, just
Yeah,
quietly. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah. Look, Aliens, it's an interesting horror films is a very, very difficult genre, I
Mm.
think. I've got such admiration for those that work in that realm because I think weirdly, Scream ruined it for us all musically in such a clever way. Because when you watch it, you kind of get there's a parody here. It's an amazingly musical parody where Marco took every
So true.
cliche and
Yeah,
used
yeah.
it
So
and
true.
pushed it. So you
Mm.
can't use that now. And then you start
Man,
looking at things like, I've just gone and watched Paranormal Activity. It's work and there's no music in it. So why do I need music?
yeah.
You know, it's a difficult thing. You're telling the audience there's going to be a scare. You're telling the audience there's not going to be a scare. It's very complicated.
Didn't you
And
do a window a
Woman in the Yard.
woman in the yard this year?
Yeah,
Did you think you pulled it off
yeah.
with that?
Oh, I don't know if I pulled it off. I enjoyed it, but
That's
also I didn't regard that as a horror film.
I haven't seen it, so yeah, I do want to see it.
Um, but I
Is it more
think
psychological? Is it?
well, yes, and that's how Jama and I kind of treated it as, and Jama is a great example. Our journey started with Black Adam.
Was it the same director?
Yeah, same director,
Ah,
and
right.
so we've now done and the Christmas movie Carry On. So we have great fun together doing these films, but again, the way we talked about it was not about this is not a horror. It's an emotional story. So the writing for it, I didn't really
Is that
care.
the closest thing you've done to a horror?
Well, it depends on some of the reviews.
Oh. Oh, that's your best quote from the day.
No, yes, I'd say so. I'd say so. And ironic, I really enjoy horror movies. I love watching horror movies.
So, do you think you'll go in that realm, or you're steering clear, or you're not sure?
It all depends. I get offered them, and I watch. And I just go. I know someone better that can do this, and I suggest them.
Hmm.
And um, I just know I just couldn't do it justice, or it's about having chops also. Some people have got good chops, and I think that just means they've got an instinct on how to kind of do something. And with that, sometimes I go, oh gosh, I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't thought, oh, that's how you do that. Um and I think that's good in life to be able to kind of just say there's somebody better.
You word this rightly. I feel like the right script hasn't come your way yet for a horror.
Mm.
Would that be a better way of putting it?
The right one for me, yes,
Mm.
because I get sent them, I get sent the films, and then also maybe the filmmakers don't think I'm right. That's the other thing. I think it's you get pigeonholed um, a lot. All of us do, and some
How do
people
you
like
get
being.
pigeonholed? In what? In what way?
Uh, I think I get pigeonholed as bombastic action,
Interesting.
um, and I get told that.
Does that offend
And
you?
what? No, that's what I like watching.
No, I just mean you don't want to be. I feel like you don't want to be pigeonholed to one thing when you're not that. You know what I mean?
I know, but somebody's going to pigeonhole you as generic shit. Somebody's going to pigeonhole you as doing something so beautiful. You're gonna
So
look. They're
yeah.
having they're pigeonholing you. It's a good sign. They're discussing you. They're wasting their time on
They're talking. Yeah.
they're talking. So it's
Yeah.
fine. Put it aside. What I think is really important, though, if you want to, is to try to keep pushing yourself and going out into different. And that's why I do always try to make sure. I think I do get told that I'm action bombastic stuff, and then in the same sentence, I want that person to then go. But I've also watched Sherwood for the BBC, which is a
Mm.
small, intimate show, and it's a small, intimate school, and go, oh, well, that's a different color. It's I think we as composers, or we as uh, creators, we've got to push ourselves and do different things. Because if not, then we do become repetitive.
What do you think of the term underrated? Because my audience, when your name's mentioned, this is just my audience, but that's the word that gets used.
I don't know. I don't know. Underrated. I don't know. Will you explain to me what it means? Can I let me. Underrated to me would I would have I would use that as um, there's a couple of actors that I really like, and they're very underrated because I don't see them getting much work. I don't I don't I don't know what underrated as in like I'm not famous enough or
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you don't get your flowers enough.
I think sometimes you look at your path. I look at a lot of friends of mine that are astonishing filmmakers. They're underrated. Now, in what respect? They're not getting awards.
Hmm. Who cares? Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
It, it, it's I, this sounds pretentious. I, I, I don't make music for awards, and I make music for films that I want to watch, and I'm so fortunate that I can look at things and say, you know what, I get to do Michael Bay movies. How privileged am I to work on his movies? I love his movies. You do they win Oscars? That's a different, it's a different conversation. Um, and I think the underrated thing, um, I don't know. I don't feel underrated. I feel very
Pretty busy.
privileged. Yeah, and I feel very privileged and fortunate that I I get to pick and choose what I want to do. That that that
Yeah,
that's
that is a
that
privilege.
it's an utter privilege. And that again is something I can't fully fathom that I kind of get to do that.
When did that start happening? What year?
I think uh, well, look, it will change. Let's be very clear. This is what happens. The thing is, so you can't become ever complacent. but I think that you know, people work on trends sometimes, and I think trends are dangerous because trends, then you're always chasing something. Um, and and I think maybe the concept of being underrated is I don't think I'm on trend, if that makes
Interesting.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because I think what happens is that somebody appears, uh, they win awards, they're on trend,
Mm.
and people go, "Oh, let's book them, let's get them." And you'll see that it's the same name every award ceremony. It's the same name all the time. Um, has it been? Is it justified? No. It's very much like voting for a politician. You see a name you recognize and you vote. Has it been actually a justified? Why is it taking so long for Chris Nolan? There's a long list. I'm going to say Jerry Bruckheimer needs an Oscar.
Oh, that's a
No,
crime. That's a crime. Yeah.
Nolan needed an Oscar for a long time. Tom
I
Cruise
know. I
needs
know.
one. Chris McQuarrie needs one. I've got a long list of
Well,
people
I
that,
feel like you're there too, personally.
well, it's very kind, but I think that I think I noticed a change with things career-wise when Mission happened, because I was well out of my ranking to get that. Um, I knew who I was against that would do it and wanted to do it. Um, and it is about ranking. It's not about the way the industry. Well, you know this, but you don't get jobs necessarily based on talent with the film industry. It is a business. As much as some people disagree,
Oh,
it's
I mean,
art.
yeah, yeah.
It
No,
is
no,
a
no.
business, and you're dealing with. You get brought in to make sure that on time you help deliver a $200 million movie. You could write the best ditties in the world, if but you've been given you're a department and you're part of this bigger picture, and you've got to deliver it on schedule, on time, on budget. And I had just great I could do that. I had great experience. I had great training. So I think I had done big movies, but not to the world of Mission,
Yeah.
and people way more established were up for it. And I just looked at it and I thought, look, I can deliver all this. I can keep a studio happy. I can do the business side of it. Um, but I need to show the other side, which is maybe 30%, 40%, ironically, that I can blow them away with writing. Is the music side. So I went away, and I basically just I had breakfast meetings with McHugh, and we got on, and it was just and I just thought there's nothing more to say in these meetings. I can't kind of I can't sell myself anymore. So I just thought, stuff this. I'm gonna start writing about everything we've discussed and what he's wanting to do with this new film. And they had already been filming, and I just thought, what I want him to hear is something that I've not written before. And I have to say, I really still do that all the time with directors now. I try
Wow.
to, when they're talking, even before a deal is done, I think, what am I going to do? Sit and kind of talk about
You're more action versus words. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So much
Mm.
just dialogue is wasted. So I start writing, just so I go, look here, this is what I think. And that's what I did with that film. I just went away and I wrote.
So,
I
what was
don't
his
know.
reaction when you gave him that first?
Um, you you're pretty underrated, Lorne. But I started writing, and I just said, look, this is what I think we are, what you've been talking about. And a couple of weeks went by, and then they said, come to the cutting room. And they had been taking the music I'd been writing and putting it to picture. And he sold me to Tom, and I had a good relationship with the studio, so that was fine. But with Tom and him, that secured me as, okay, he can do that. And then I think that just changed my whatever it is, a status or something with work, where it was like, oh, okay, you're now in this ballpark now, and you're kind of looking at things differently. And look, it's a difficult ballpark because there's not that many projects these caliber to work in.
No,
You know,
no.
it's very much looking at high caliber actors. There's only so many films every couple of years that get made that are astonishing. There's only so many filmmakers. So I still when I watch something and I like it, I I go, oh, crikey, I'd love to work with that person. And I drop them a line or send an email, and sometimes you don't get a reply, and sometimes you do, and you kind of, I'm not saying it to kind of break up their relationship with their composer. I'm telling them how amazing what they've made is great, but also complimenting, the music. But it is just looking at people that you admire and respect and want to work with, whatever level. If you're starting off in the beginning, it it's it's a very small chance, if you're sending a show reel to Steven Spielberg and you've never done anything before, that you're going to get a job. But there's no harm doing it, and there could, it was very. I look at the same with Mission, because I think I had come out of a couple of big bombastic action stuff, and the music that they were liking was the
The
smaller
intimate.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's weird. You start looking at the spider web. I did Dungeons and Dragons mainly because I'd done a show called His Dark Materials, which was a BBC show, which again let me write music which I wasn't getting to write in film, and that's why I did the show. I was like, this is a great science kind of world of science fiction that I'm not necessarily getting to do, so I'd like to do it for this, and then that opened up that world.
Do you still, with the pressure of these big projects, and you are the composer, if do you feel that pressure? Like, do you feel
Yeah.
like if I shit the bed here, it's all over? Do you feel that?
Good God, what an expression! But it's never over because you can just wipe yourself clean and start again, so it's fine.
But
Um,
there's that stain, you know. There's that stain on the bed.
yeah. Um, yes, there is,
You know
and
what I
if
mean?
there
Yeah.
is, yeah, no, I
Hmm.
totally. There is, and if there isn't, there's a problem.
Interesting.
I think, and relating to what we were talking about when I come in and rescue things or replace things or fix things, there's a lot of that happens. There's a lot of complacency with, look,
Going
I can
safe, you
probably,
mean? Being safe?
or arrogance or confidence,
Hmm.
and look, I think there's probably only one. I only know of one composer that's never been fired. So everybody has been replaced and is replaceable. And a lot of the time you see what we touched on, it's not always about the music.
No.
And I think that if you walk in being complacent and also thinking, this is my success, I'm fine. No, because we're only as good. It can shift very quickly. What we're doing, it's the same as an actor. We can do a movie that if we don't bring our A game to it, and it's not good music and it's not good acting, why is somebody going to hire us?
Mm.
So it's all very well going, I'm doing A-list movies now, big budget movies.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
great. The Now I've got to do the same for the next movie, and then the next one, and then the next one. So when people say, "Oh, you're on, he's on autopilot," you're uneducated. You don't know what that means. Autopilot means that there's no skill there. You've got to create something just as good the second time, and it's the same with bands. You know, the first album isn't the hardest; it's the second. That is the hardest one. And you look at a band and their musical journey, and they struggle with that one because
So
that that first album, they've had a life preparing to get to it. They've got the success, they've got the hits. Now it's the second one.
so is your next soundtrack the hardest one?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the one that I've just finished doing is an animation, and it's been very hard, but God, has it been thoroughly enriching in my life. And it's just pushed me again, because again, it's changing and it's been, thinking outside the box. It's great. And I'm like, all I want to do now, I want some more animations. I get a call about this other project. That's why I'm up until 5 o'clock in the morning, because I could go to bed at 9 if I wanted, but there's an itch, and I thoroughly enjoy scratching it, and that's why I don't need. There's nothing being delivered today at lunchtime. There's no deadline for me at the moment. I'm up till 5 because
You
I'm
love it.
absolutely. I
Man, that's
absolutely.
inspiring. That's really
But we
inspiring.
have but we have to do that in the arts, because we're not
Mm.
doing it for monetary success. If we're doing it for monetary success, get out of the business, because it's a very few percentage will financially succeed. So we have to be doing it for another reason. And it comes back to AI. Am I threatened by it? No, it's competition. That's all. When I wake up, I know that there's people writing better pieces of music than me. Fine, I get up because I know I want to beat that. I want to write something better than what they can do. The AI conversation is just the same as that. It's not going to stop me getting up in the morning, and it shouldn't stop you from what you are bringing to to this conversation. The world is your uniqueness. That is your selling point. It's the same as me. We are doing something that we're not. We shouldn't feel threatened by it.
Man, can we do this again next year?
I don't know if there's much to talk about, Dan. But I tell you, but but if, but if you no, but Dan, the funny thing is
Oh,
that's why I just don't
yeah.
I don't do podcasts much,
Yeah.
because I feel that there's very little to say a lot of the time. You kind of do a backstory, but what I like about you is that I like the fact that you don't necessarily, it's not dwelling on a journey, because we can all find out that journey very immediately. It's the fact that you want to kind of point on certain things that are part of a journey, but
Mm.
and that's why this whole AI world, it's yeah. I did a speech recently,
Yeah.
and I went to I went to ChatGPT, and just out of interest, I always knew what was going to happen with the speech, but I just wanted to see what ChatGPT would do. My God, it's 10 different speeches, all different um, and I worked with a speech writer, and we got something, and all kudos to him. He was the talent. I simply just had a concept, but I knew where I wanted it to lead,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
and it was just chalk and cheese, because there was personality to it. And I think that's why, this interview could have been a, 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 a it could easily be an AI interview. You know, you can get somebody
Yeah.
visually that doesn't exist asking me these questions. Nothing is going to change. There will always be great interviewers. There will always be, you know, a Parkinson. There will always be a Terry Wogan, who are British references that you may not know, but they are individuals because of who they are,
Mm.
and that's what we've all got to kind of remember, that we can simply bring ourselves, and that's all we are, is we can sell ourselves.
Well, I call myself a selfish interviewer. I just ask what I want to know. That's
But
it,
but but
you know?
yeah, and if you get critique on that, so be it.
Mm, exactly.
I'm a selfish composer. What I'm writing at the moment, I'm enjoying it, and I think it's working to the scene that I'm looking at and the film. And there will be a long list of people that just absolutely disagree, and it does not matter. I learned something when I first got married, and I learned many things when I first got married. But one important thing was about how we associate, what we all get in return from whether it's games, TV, or film. Because I used to look at the concept of mass-produced TV, like soap operas, as the as fast food. It was just, it's not something I wish to consume, and it's for the masses.
Hmm.
It's very much elitism, that point of
Oh,
view.
yeah.
I remember my wife watching said soap opera, which she probably wouldn't be happy, no, me mentioning, and I made some comments. She said, "Well, but it doesn't matter. It brings the same escapism to me
Yeah.
as you watching a film." And that's really what this is all about, where nobody sits there and plans to kind of make a shit product. We all sacrifice friendships, lives, for doing something. You have spent time researching and spending time for this interview. Time is spent. We just don't kind of walk in and kind of do stuff. It's there for somebody's enjoyment, and they will get enjoyment out of it. And that's what we've got to remember. This is the whole part of this. So you don't need me next year, Dan. You got little
I
snippets.
don't need you, but I want you. Anyway.
Oh, you know what? That's going to be the name for my autobiography. Need you.
I really hope, just selfishly, I hope you continue doing the Game Awards. It really brings me joy every year watching you do you like I look forward to it every year. I know
So
many. Yeah.
this year, Dan, we went to the level of, and, and I and I just thought, because the guitar guy, I I I did I basically I did a friend phoned me up, and he said, "Oh, my band, we're doing a concert, and we're doing a show. It's a small show. Would your son, he plays the guitar, and he's young, so he's just started out. He said, would you
Yeah.
like to play it?" I said, "Absolutely. This is great. No, no pressure, because it's a small pub." So I said to him, "Will you do it?" And he said, yeah, okay, okay. So basically, it gets closer and closer. And then about 3 days before, he said, "I don't want to do it. I'm too scared." So, and I said, "Look, I'll do it with you. I'll play the piano. I'll play the keyboards." And I got listed the set of songs. And then anyway, then 2 days before, he totally pulls out. He said, "I don't want to do it." And then I said, so I said to my friend who's got the band, I said, he's chickened out. He doesn't want to do it. So I said, "So I'm so sorry, but I hope it goes well." And he goes, "What do you mean? You're in the band now. You said you were backing him up. So I now have to join. I have to join this set list of like 45 songs." And I just thought, "Oh God, I can't do it." And I remember from the game show, Jeremy, who was guitar guy, who works with me, I just said, "Play the guitar. I'm gonna get out there. There we go." So I didn't realize how complicated the guitar is, because you can't see it.
Oh, yeah,
You're
yeah,
playing down like this, and every
yeah.
guitarist looks up here to figure out where their frets are, so they've got some contact, and all the guitar. firstly, you can't see what you're playing, and secondly, you've got to make eye contact with people. You've got to look around. You're looking all the time.
Oh,
I said to one of my team, Ethan. I said, Ethan, let's get a keytar. We got the keytar the day before the gig. Anyway, I did it. So the keytar became this love of ours, and Jeremy was all over social media for a keytar guy. And then I said, then I weirdly kind of just thought before the show, a month before the show, "Oh, what if you can get a double keytar?" And lo and behold, there was a double keytar. And I
oh.
booked her. She was fantastic. But yeah, now now there was the dueling keytars, double keytar, keytar girl, keytar and Pedro. So I tell you
Do you know
what.
who? Do you know who I missed? The woman who did Celeste with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah,
I tell you what, my dream
yeah.
orchestra would
Please
be.
tell me. Yeah.
Um, and it's been to have it made up of the composers, and
Mm.
that's why that if you remember that show, we had Harry Gregson Williams.
Yeah. You
Trying to
had
think of Hans
Sarah. You had Sarah.
Zimmer. Yeah,
Yeah, I know him. You had Sarah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um, now there was something that you see. That's when but it was so complicated because of
Yeah.
schedules.
Yeah.
Jason Graves, I tried to get something happened. Austin Wintry, Austin couldn't make it. But I basically wanted to do that because I just thought, isn't this great having all these musicians? I had thought about Jeff and I had talked about when you do the game thing, having the composers, but then it's such short notice. That's the problem.
That's the killer. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that also then means visas. So people coming from different countries, getting
Yeah.
them
There's a
in.
lot of logistics. Yeah.
It's but that would be my dream because I love the fact that these composers are getting recognition. They're getting their music. I hope they like what I do. So I think one year somebody made a comment. I changed something, but anyway, but I wasn't trying to do it for the better. It was just to work as a piece. But I would love it if we could get them all playing with us. But it's just the practicality and the short notice is so.
Do you
Uh,
do you hear from the composers? They thank you at all?
I would say I'd have to think hard when they don't. Um, and if they haven't,
That's good.
I've 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 weirdly followed up, not in a bad way,
Really?
but I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Just
I think maybe
questioning.
I've done
Yeah.
it twice. No, I I've I've touched base to make sure that they were all right.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't, it's I haven't touched base because why didn't you tell me you liked it? It's been and it's purely been because channels weren't connected and they didn't have an
Yeah.
email.
Yeah. That's what I would have thought. Yeah.
But I always tell them all that I'm doing this as your biggest fan. I'm sitting with your music for a long period of time. Well, it's semi-long, um, and I'm not changing it because I think I'm better. I'm wanting to showcase your music so that when the fans listen to this, they just go, God, I want to buy that. I want to hear it. And yeah, I'm changing the arrangements, but I've got nothing to win with this. And I think that's why Jeff. Um, I think maybe one of the reasons Jeff has me is because I'm not in competition with them. I'm not in the game world full time. So I'm not going to sabotage it. I'm not going to try to get some. I want them to all succeed. I want them to. I did a film called Gran Turismo a
Yeah.
few years,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and in that I basically got I think about 10 game composers that I had either worked with or I had known from the Game Awards, and I got them onto the soundtrack because I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm doing a film that is a big gaming IP here.
What a smart
They should
idea.
they
Yeah.
should all have a chance, and and
Did
work
it
on
go?
it. And
How did it go in your
it was
perspective?
all disastrous. No, it was great. It was absolutely great. Again, we were all little squares sitting on Zooms, talking about cues and
Oh,
stuff.
that was COVID, was it? Yeah.
No, it was called
No?
They All Live All Over the World.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so it was everybody was everywhere, but it was this again. It was just what I learned in the game thing was about the sense of community and trying to bring everybody in. I tell you what, Dan, maybe you've got a year to answer this, but what would you do differently for
Well,
the Game Awards?
here's what I want to happen. I want you to do another game, and I want it to be
Yeah.
nominated for Game of the Year, so you can orchestra your own score.
I think
No?
I think that would be I think it would just be so problematic, and I think that,
You're
you
not
know
going to put
why?
yourself on last, are you? You're not going to end with your
Well,
score.
see,
Yeah.
there's the thing, and purely just so when
Yeah.
it gets to the last, I can turn round.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
Camera on me. Yeah, camera.
Yeah, no Pedro playing. There'll be flute. No,
Uh,
but
to improve, I'm not joking, make it twice as long. Because as a fan, it goes too quick. I'm enjoying myself and it's gone.
yeah. So I'm
You
working.
know?
You see what I do. So I'm working off. I try to. Everybody gets the exact amount, and
I
that's
know.
not
I
that.
know.
That's not that was never stipulated. It was never a requirement. What it was I learned that somebody's going to get upset, and
Is it 30 seconds?
it's this one because I went at this one was at 28. This one was at 28 seconds, um, and and then sometimes it depends if you change the tempo, but
Yeah.
I'm on the dot because I know somebody an organization will get upset and just go, wait a minute.
Where's my second? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I want to remove
Uh,
any of that, and I want to also make sure that everybody's is as good as possible. Because I just think so. So the structure of it is it is difficult, and also you're thinking about the stage setting. With this one with Nintendo,
oh, I
when
love
I
that with the song coming in at the end. Yeah, it
yeah,
was great.
and when I
Yeah.
found out that she was able to come and sing it, it was like, yeah, I think that's a justified ending because
Oh, yeah.
he, it visually makes sense. But maybe what you need to do over the next year is start doing market research for me.
Yeah. GTA 6, number one.
Yeah. And
Um,
basically, we don't need to ask questions like, should Lorne be conducting? Don't get personal. We just want to know,
he must be conducting, not should.
should it be should it be longer? Should it be longer? And also, I suppose another thing is that should the controversial question is, should
Yeah.
there also be best soundtrack medley?
What do you mean?
Well, this is best game.
Oh, you've just opened up a can of worms. 100% there should be.
So it
100% there should be.
because
Yes, I
they're not always
agree.
they're not always matching.
No, they're not. No, not at all.
No.
I think it should be, you need to bump up 28 to 45 seconds per game. Um, and put yourself on camera another 10 seconds, and I'll be happy next year, all right?
Well, if we get to 45, I'm not too sure if we can keep going. Da, 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 da. um,
Uh,
but no, but no. I think we're always trying to think about the authenticity about it. Trying to get people connected to with the games.
yeah.
That soundtrack. And again, if we don't do it, it's simply because to get we had it, was it 2 years ago with Horizon with Judy? That was a miracle that we could get her over in
Oh,
time.
she's a beautiful singer, I guess you call it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it was a miracle that I think it was touch and go that we were able to get the travel visa. So there's a lot of
Oh, but that was a
uh,
separate piece, wasn't it? That was a separate
yeah, yes, but it was
yeah.
still a performance but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
it was
again,
separate.
the
Yeah,
same concept. We're
yeah.
restricted with time.
No, of course. There's a lot of logistics that go into it too. Um, no, Lorne, thank you so much for all your work over the years, bringing joy to my ears, to my, and to everyone. And I really appreciate the time today.
No, my pleasure, Dan. It's been really enjoyable talking to you, and I can see that you've got a passion. And it's lovely talking to people with passion.
Well, I can see you've got a two staying up to 5 a.m. I thought I was the only one that stays up that late these days, you know?
My doctor disagrees, but
Yeah, look after yourself, would you?
medical
Um,
came back fine. The medical came back fine, so I could keep doing it.